As a finance professional in a disrupted business landscape, what does it take to be in demand? What does it take to attract great paying international roles? If you're an ICAN member, it'll just take one exam. That's all it takes to complete the globally recognized CIMA professional qualification and the internationally respected CGMA designation. As a CIMA member and a CGMA designation holder, employers will look at you as a finance professional, constantly acquiring new skills to add value to the business. That's why they'll be willing to pay premium to hire and retain you. If you have 5 years of relevant experience and are an ICAN member, you can directly sit for the final exam of the CIMA Professional Qualification, the Strategic Case Study exam. Start studying the CIMA Professional Qualification. Prepare to make an impact.
All right, they talk about sustainability reporting deals with the qualitative and quantitative information concerning environmental, social, economic, and governance issues. We know the ESG is almost a household name because we talk about it every time, everywhere. And today we're going to be discussing sustainability reporting when we try to understand the rudiments and the meeting stakeholders' expectations. So who are our stakeholders in this discussion? You can talk about your stakeholders to be your employees, to be your customers, to be your suppliers, to be anyone around you, even the legislators and also the regulators. They are your stakeholders. So today we're having a special edition of ICAN on Air, and I'll say welcome to ICAN on Air today, the 18th day of July 2024. My name remains Fumi Olani. Today we're bringing someone special into the studio in person of, maybe I shouldn't let it out, but of course, let me just let you know who we're bringing into the studio very soon. Her name is Mrs. Grace Fatogbe, FCA. So we'd like to go on a commercial break and we'll be right back after the break.
The Skill Up Artisans Program Super is an initiative of the federal government.
The aim of Super is to upskill Nigerian artisans for better employability. This we are carrying out by collecting the data of Nigeria artisans through massive registration, training, certification, and licensing for better job opportunities, both locally and internationally. Super will improve the quality of life of Nigeria artisans. It will improve the quality of work from Nigeria artisans, enhance work and professional ethics from Nigeria artisans, reduce dependency on foreign artisans, and increase foreign exchange through talent export.
Log on to super.itf.gov.ng to register now. Super, upskilling Nigeria artisans for super job.
Security is key to national development and growth. No nation can be truly economically successful without peace and stability, or when its security is threatened. This is why we must perform our civic obligation of duly paying our taxes so as to provide the needed resources for government to secure our lives and properties. When we pay our taxes, government is provided with the needed resources to equip our security agencies for a safer Nigeria. The money we pay as taxes is used to purchase equipment and hardware, invest in intelligence and other sophisticated technology, as well as cater for the welfare of all security personnel. A secure nation is a prosperous nation. Nigeria is safer when we pay our taxes. FIRS, it pays to pay your tax.
As a finance professional in a disrupted business landscape, what does it take to be in demand? What does it take to attract great paying international roles? If you're an ICAN member, it'll just take one exam. That's all it takes to complete the globally recognized CIMA professional qualification and the internationally respected CGMA designation. As a CIMA member and a CGMA designation holder, employers will look at you as a finance professional, constantly acquiring new skills to add value to the business. That's why they'll be willing to pay premium to hire and retain you. If you have 5 years of relevant experience and are an ICAN member, you can directly sit for the final exam of the SEMA Professional Qualification, the Strategic Case Study exam. Start studying the SEMA Professional Qualification. Prepare to make an impact.
All right, you're welcome back to ICAN on Air, and today we have a female colleague, and I'll say up Swan, up ICAN, up Swan.
Up ICAN.
Yes, women of integrity. You know, the Swan, I don't know if all our women are actually SWAN members, but would encourage you to be part of it. Today, I was at LASSO just to give you an update on what the Institute is doing. And we're doing something around sexual harassment where everyone is aware. So those are the kind of programs that the Institute brings to our doorstep. So I'm very happy to have you today, Mrs. Grace. And I would say thank you so much for being part of today's program. So let me just read the resume of this very interesting person we have in the studio today, in person of Mrs. Grace Fatogbe, FCA. She is highly accomplished professional in corporate reporting, in financial management, and she is a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria and a certified project management Prince 2 practitioner. She advises IFRS Foundation on digital reporting as a member of the IFRS Taxonomy Consulting Group. She is also a critical member of the Adoption Readiness Working Group. I mean, they do seamless adoption of IFRS sustainability standards in Nigeria. And she's passionate for corporate reporting, and you'll see it in all of the discussions that we'll have today. She also serves as a member of the board of corporate reporting faculty, ICAN, and she's focused on enhancing the skills of chartered accountants. She holds MSc in finance and management from Cranfield University, UK, financed by the British government through the Chevening Scholarship. She's also worked with renowned organizations, including the Schlumberger Oilfield Services, the Central Bank of Nigeria, Diamond Capital and Financial Markets Limited, and even KPMG Professional Services. You're welcome, and it's good to have you today.
Thank you so much, Fumi. Thank you. Thank you for the kind introduction.
I mean, that is who you are. We encourage women to continue to uphold the integrity and accuracy that our institute is known for. So I want to start by, I mean, you are the guru when it comes to financial reporting. And you understand that financial reporting was a principal focus of corporate bodies and even governments. But today, when you have the global focus, it has actually shifted to sustainability reporting. So we would like you to just shed some light on what sustainability reporting is for you and what the key differences is between that sustainability reporting and financial reporting, for example.
Yes, thank you very much, Fumi, for the kind words. Financial reporting is what a lot of accountants are more conversant with, which is the documentation and disclosure of financial parameters within an organization. So you have the financial statements that depict the assets, liabilities, revenue, and expenses of an organization. But over time, specifically from the really early 50s and 60s, research began to show that there was a lot more to the value of an organization beyond the information that we see on the financial statements. There was clearly a correlation between non-financial information and performance of organization. And that led to users of primary users of financial statements wanting to get non-financial information, but those non-financial informations were not readily available in the financial statement. And that is what we currently know as sustainability reporting, which is simply the disclosure of non-financial information related to an organization. So the disclosure of environmental, social, and governance information that could impact the financial performance of the organization. You would recall that when accounting started, if you took the financial statement, you could easily tell what the value of a business was because a significant portion of the assets were tangible. But we're now transitioning to, we've transitioned to a period where you have both intangible and tangible financial and assets. Some of the intangible assets are not reported on the financial statements. And so the sustainability report is the document that helps you to provide the non-financial information of an organization. So what's the correlation between the two? You can't use either of them in isolation, because if you take only financial reporting without sustainability reporting, you don't get 100% picture of the organization. So we're now transitioning from just financial reporting to corporate reporting. And what is corporate reporting? Corporate reporting is simply disclosing both financial and non-financial information related to an entity.
Oh, very, very clever. Thank you very much for that. While we're still discussing that, I wanted you to just x-ray what you mean by sustainability when you talk about the types of the sustainability reporting frameworks that we definitely have, and the extent to which they where this has actually transcended from traditional, or let's say the conventional reporting ways of the sustainability reporting frameworks.
Oh, thank you so much. So when this conversation about non-financial information commenced, organizations became aware that, oh, investors want to know about my non-financial information. So you had people disclosing environmental, social, and governance information. The most common information was the corporate social responsibility. Everyone was disclosing. And it was a bit difficult to determine if the information they had disclosed were the truth or they were just fabricating information. So that led to the rise of various standards. We had both global standards and standards that are local to us in Nigeria. One of the very popular standards that govern sustainability reporting is Global Reporting Initiative, the GRI, and it focused on impacts. So the disclosure you were making was not necessarily decision useful to an investor, because you couldn't tell me whether I should invest in that company or not, because there was a disconnect between the financial information and the information in the sustainability report. Another standard globally is known as the Sustainability Accounting Standards Board, SASB. They were focused on the capital market, so their information was decision useful, and the model they used was they took cognizance of the fact that the sustainability issues that affect entities could be different from one industry to another. So their own standard was focused on providing industry-specific sustainability disclosure. Then we also have the Task Force on Climate-Related Financial Disclosure, TCFD, that focused on providing 4 recommendations known as governance, risk management, strategy, metrics, and target, that entities were supposed to disclose these 4 core pillars related to their climate-related financial disclosure. Now, globally, because there wasn't one standard that everybody was supposed to use, and we had the same issue here in Nigeria where we had several different standards that govern various aspects of sustainability. Like we have the Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance, which required entities to disclose their governance as well as their environmental and social activities. We also had the Nigerian Sustainable Banking Principle. We had myriad of standards. So the challenge was there were so many standards. How do you compare from one entity to another when people were using different standards? So that was the landscape until recently, when there was a clamor that consolidates all these numerous. In fact, I read a research somewhere where it said we had more than 300 standards that were governing sustainability. So there was a clamor by the global financial markets There was a clamor by the global financial markets for a consolidation of the numerous standards. And this led to the IFRS Foundation establishing the International Sustainability Standards, ISSB, in 2021. And ISSB has now come up with a consolidation of the SASB standard, the TCFD standard, and the ISSB standard. The IFRS Foundation has issued its inaugural sustainability standards, the IFRS S1, which is the standard that governs general requirements related to sustainability. So it's similar to the IAS1, presentation of financial statements. So it's the one that contains the concepts, the principles of how you go about reporting sustainability. And then you have the IFRS S2, which is the climate-related disclosure that focuses on disclosing climate-related sustainability, climate-related risk and opportunities.
Thank you so much. While you were talking, what came to mind, like I did when I was when we started the program, was to talk about ESG. And everywhere you go, you just hear people talk about ESG. They probably do not even understand what it means, but I want you to just tell us what the major difference between sustainability and environmental, social, and governance, which we typically call ESG, what is about, and how are they unique in their own ways, and the specific steps that are involved or what is required in sustainability reporting.
So I'll start off by explaining environmental, social, and governance. But before I explain that, I would like to go back to something in my background. You mentioned I did an MSc in Finance and Management from Cranfield University. Interestingly, this was in 2007, 2008. And interestingly, my thesis while I was in Cranfield was there a correlation between the performance of entities, banks specifically, that had very good corporate social responsibility? And was there a correlation between their performance and their corporate social responsibility? So what I took a sample size of banks from the UK, Japan, and the US. And I found out that banks who had entrenched, who had embedded corporate social responsibility into their operations had outperformed their peers who had not. And several research have shown that if you do more than just focusing on the bottom line, you would outperform your peer that focused on just the bottom line. So let me go and define ESG. ESG is an acronym for environmental, social, and governance. And what environmental is you're looking at everything related to nature. So when you mention environmental, you're looking at water, air. These are things that are finite. They are not inexhaustible. So if you don't manage them properly, they will come to an end. So what are your impacts on an organization, on the environment? Are your activities destroying the environment? Are you polluting the environment? As humans, we need oxygen to survive, and we breathe out carbon dioxide. Now, if there is no oxygen, this is now an extreme example. If there's no oxygen at all, then we as humans, as we are right now, as long as we have not changed into another form that we can breathe in another gas, we would not survive. The focus was, what are you doing on the environment that was making it worse, or what were you not doing to make the environment better? When you look at social, you're looking at your interaction with the community, both your internal and external. How do you treat your employees, the community where your operations are? Are you adding value to their lives, or are you destroying their life? And governance, how is the organization run? Are you doing ethical things or unethical things? Now, if you pick environmental, social, and governance on their own, individually without relating them to how they can help the business continue into the foreseeable future, you are not discussing sustainability. So the link between sustainability and ESG is that you pick each of these parameters and see how do they impact this business from continuing to exist. Sustainability is for something, if you look at the English word, it's for something to continue. So just looking at ESG in isolation, without relating them to the business operations and how they can help the business continue to exist, is not sustainability. So sustainability is how do these pillars, environmental, social, and governance, impact my ability to continue to exist as a business. So let me give an example. For if I'm a farmer and I plant crops in the soil and I keep planting and keep using harmful chemicals that destroy the top layer of the soil. In the next 10 years, I may have depleted the resources on this soil in such a way that when I plant, my plants will not germinate. So my activities on the environment is not sustainable. So sustainability is saying that I need to plant and I need them to germinate. So whatever I'm putting in the soil to help the plants germinate should be something that even if the plants germinate, it does not destroy the soil, because I would always need the soil to plant. So that is sustainability. Now, what is sustainability reporting? All the activities that relate to your environmental, social, and governance, whether positive, those are the opportunities, or negative, the risk. How do I now disclose it to my stakeholders? I'm doing all of these wonderful things internally, but external people would not know, except I document it and report it to them. So sustainability reporting is simply the disclosure of an organization's sustainability related risk and opportunities, so that everyone can clearly see transparently what my risks are, what my opportunities are, how am I adapting them to suit my business to continue to exist without destroying the planet Earth. Because as it is right now, as humans, there's no other planet we can survive on. There has been a lot of progress towards trying to see whether humans can survive on Mars. But as of today, the only planet that we can survive on that is not, that will not harm our life is Earth. And we have only one Earth.
Interesting. Thank you so much for your perspective. You know, when you were talking about the finance part of air, I was wondering, okay, is air exhaustible? Is it that it is going to come to an end and I'll probably need something to survive? All right. Thank you so much for shedding so much light on that. And you're such a great teacher, taking us one step after the other. So my question now is, if I want to try to compare sustainability reporting and integrated reporting, so they sometimes may mean, are they the same thing, or are they completely different concepts? Are we seeing them from different angles? And how do they actually affect our financial performance in an organization, for example?
So it's great that you asked that question. Amazing question. Sustainability reporting and integrated reporting are complementary. They are not different things. Integrated reporting is saying that as an organization, you need to look at your operations from an integrated approach, that there are various aspects in your business that adds value to it. Don't focus on only the financial aspects. There is human capital, there's social capital. Bring all of these elements and document it. Unfortunately, integrated reporting was not able to be as widely accepted as we wanted, as it was supposed to have been. And one of the pushback was it was seen as more of a theoretical thing pushed by the academia. So there was a huge argument about integrated reporting. Is it a good to have, or is it something I'm just doing for doing good? Does it really benefit my business? Because for me, the most important thing is the bottom line. So sustainability was taking integrated reporting to a higher level to say, you know what? all this thing that people typically saw as a good to do actually benefits the organization if you're able to sit down and identify the specific environmental, social, and governance factors that could impede you from reaching your objective, or those that could help you achieve your objective. You actually still improve the bottom line. So to answer your question, they are not opposite. Sustainability complements integrated reporting. And interestingly, the IFRS sustainability standards that I earlier mentioned actually builds upon integrated reporting. It's built upon integrated reporting, and it's how do I say, it's like when you look at when you start learning alphabets, you learn the sounds of the alphabet, ABC, but when you learn as a child, you don't really understand why you have to learn ABC. But the objective of you learning the alphabet is so that you're able to put them together and create words. And so that's the same thing with the integrated thinking. The integrated reporting was to make organization and entities, all the stakeholders, both internal and external, begin to think in an integrated way, that there are very different components, 6 capitals, that come together to actually enhance the value of a business. When people were doing that, they may not have seen the bigger picture, but sustainability reporting clearly shows you that that integrated way of thinking helps you to actually ensure that your business continues to succeed into the foreseeable future.
Okay, thank you so much. And if you're just joining us, it's ICAN on Air. It happens every Thursday at 6 p.m. And the topic today is sustainability reporting, understanding the rudiments and meeting stakeholders' expectation. In the studio today, we have a special guest, Mrs. Grace Fatogbe, FCA. I'd like to acknowledge some of our audience here, and I want to say thank you for always being here. I see Sunny Abdulakim. He says, good evening and kudos to the anchors of this wonderful programs and the Institute for putting it in place. It's indeed highly impactful, and the reason I don't miss it every week. Thank you very much. And I also see Oladapo Jegede from Lagos, Adejo Egbita from Abuja. We see Esther Julius streaming from Ibadan, Joshua Adenaike from Ijebu Ode, Pets Remy Ezogo from Delta State, Fagbo Latimi Tokwe. He says it's nice to be here again, and is streaming from the ancient city of Ibadan. Thank you very much, Fagbo Latimi Tokwe. And I see a couple of other people here. We say thank you very much for being here, Ni Olajide and Olugbe Theophilus. Thank you. So we have so many questions for you, because when people talk about sustainability, it's the reigning topic. And we always want to know better when it comes to the Institute and what they have created for its members. So, based on your depth, knowledge and experience, what is the major difference between sustainability reporting and corporate social responsibility, which we typically call CSR? Do you foresee any challenges or even associate challenges that would come with the sustainability reporting in the nearest future? At least we all still live in Earth. We are not in any other planets. Yes.
Yes. So my perspective is that corporate social responsibility focuses on philanthropy, and it focuses on an entity's impact on the society where they operate. How can I do something that is beneficial to the society where I'm operating? It is a sub-component of ESG, because ESG is the environmental, social, and governance. So it is a sub-component of sustainability. So they are not, what's a better way to put it? It's philanthropy. It was focused on doing good, maybe not necessarily how does this my doing good help my business. It was that I was operating somewhere and it was a good to have. Let me build a school for the community where I operate so that they are happy, they don't disrupt my business. But sustainability goes beyond just social. It encompasses environmental, social, and governance factors. So sustainability is a lot broader. Daily we learn. It's all of this actually started with the concept of ethical investing, where people would not put their money in something that they felt was against their values. We had a time where students in the Western world created, agitated for people to divest from South Africa because of apartheid. That was where all of this started. Ethical investments. Don't put your money in a repressive economy. Don't put your money for people who don't believe in taking alcohol. I will not invest in an alcoholic business. And then it moved away from ethical, having to do with my values, to corporate social responsibility. I'm operating in this particular place. Let me at least do something, philanthropy, that would make the place better than I met it. And then we've now moved beyond just looking at the social to say, you know what, there are a lot more issues beyond just looking at the society. We have environmental, we have just one earth. If we destroy the earth, where will this business be? So let's now look at the environment. How do we ensure that we meet our own needs without destroying the earth, so that future generation will still have an earth to live in? Governance. How do we run our business in such a way that this business continues to remain? How do we ensure that our practices are ethical, so that in the future we continue to exist? So to answer your question in summary, CSR is a subset of sustainability and might not necessarily be looking at the benefit to the organization. But sustainability says, while I'm doing all of these good things for the environment, to the society, and for how I govern my organization also benefits, because when I take care of the earth, I have a place to do business. When I take care of my employees, who are also part of the social, they are more productive. When I take care of the community where I operate, they are more supportive of my business. They will not come and disrupt my business. And when I ensure that I do things ethically, transparently, I'm able to attract the right kind of customers to my business, so I make more revenue. So that's the whole idea of what is sustainability.
Okay. Thank you very much. So, I mean, don't confuse CSR with sustainability. You've heard it today. And, you as a technocrat, you believe in the 4 C's of sustainable development. When you talk about collaboration, you talk about control, communication, and I think the last one is commitment. Can you actually break it down to our viewers so they understand what this means, the 4 C's?
So, the critical thing about sustainability is that for you to even determine what are the important things that has to do with you as an entity, you have to not focus on just yourself. Sustainability is focused on a holistic stakeholder engagement. We want to understand things from the perspective of both our internal and external stakeholders. And if you're going to get a clarity on what are the topical important issues that could impact you, we call this our material topics, because there are a myriad of sustainability topics. Some of them may affect our business, they may be material to us, some may not be material. So you are supposed to clearly articulate and communicate with all myriad of your stakeholders for them to clearly understand that these are the issues that may impact them. How do they want it resolved? Sustainability does not believe on pushing your own opinion on others. It focuses on trying to understand you and what is best for you, and then working with you, the stakeholder, to develop a solution. One interesting thing about really highly cerebral people is that they think they know it all. They know what everybody's problem is and will push down a solution to you. I had an interesting discussion a while back with a chief sustainability officer of a company where they went to a state in the Southwest, built a fantastic hospital and put all the equipment, and they were very happy. Oh, we've done corporate social responsibility, put it in their CSR report, put pictures, and then they went back 2 years later. The hospital had never been used, and the equipment were never used. And they asked, how come we did this really wonderful hospital and nobody is using it? They said, when you came, you didn't even ask us if we had medical personnel, and you went and built a hospital. So who is going to treat us when we go to this hospital? So this was them pushing what they felt, because they went there, they didn't see a standard hospital, and then the next thing was, oh, let's build a world-class hospital. So that's not the most appropriate way to approach sustainability. Is you have a conversation. I see your problem, but what I think is your problem might not necessarily be your problem. He who wears the shoe knows where it pinches. So you always have to have a collaborative way to solving sustainable issues. You have to listen. Communication is very key. Even when they tell you what they need, you have to still go back and reaffirm that this is actually what you said you need, and it will actually address your need.
That's an interesting side of things. I mean, that's very useful because it's all about sustainability. How do you sustain that health center or that edifice that they have created for you? So I guess we have to go on a break right now. It's still discussing sustainability reporting, understanding the rudiments, and meeting stakeholders' expectation. And we have in our studio today Mrs. Grace Fatogbe, FCA. We'll go on a commercial break and we'll be right back. Get your questions together and we'll treat them when we come back.
Security is key to national development and growth. No nation can be truly economically successful without peace and stability, or when its security is threatened. This is why we must perform our civic obligation of duly paying our taxes so as to provide the needed resources for government to secure our lives and properties. When we pay our taxes, government is provided with the needed resources to equip our security agencies for a safer Nigeria. The money we pay as taxes is used to purchase equipment and hardware, invest in intelligence and other sophisticated technology, as well as cater for the welfare of all security personnel. A secure nation is a prosperous nation. Nigeria is safer when we pay our taxes. FIRS, it pays to pay your tax.
The Skill Up Artisans Program Super is an initiative of the federal government.
The aim of Super is to upskill Nigerian artisans for better employability. This we are carrying out by collecting the data of Nigeria artisans through massive registration, training, certification, and licensing for better job opportunities, both locally and internationally.
Super will improve the quality of life of Nigeria artisans. It will improve the quality of work from Nigeria artisans, enhance work and professional ethics from Nigeria artisans, reduce dependency on foreign artisans, and increase foreign exchange through talent export.
Log on to super.itf.gov.ng to register now. Super.
Okay, you're welcome back to ICAN on Air, and it's an interesting discussion before the break. We're discussing sustainability reporting, understanding the rudiments, and meeting stakeholders' expectation. You're welcome back, Mrs. Grace Fatogbe, FCA. Okay, I want to believe that your microphone is working. So
Yes.
I've seen a couple of questions from our audience, I guess I may want to read out one of our audience question. He calls himself Senator, but I guess that's a nickname. So Bolaji Osho, his question is, does this subject matter apply to all entities? And do we have any water-related sustainability metrics as part of the reporting?
Yes, so sustainability actually applies to all entities. Why does it apply to all entities? Like I had mentioned earlier, sustainability is about ensuring that everything that has to do with environmental, social, and governance factor that could prevent you as an entity from achieving your objective, you bring it into focus and you look for ways to mitigate those risks. So if there are environmental, for instance, environmental risk that could prevent you from achieving your objective as a business, and you are a micro business and you don't take that into cognizance, it means that as a business you will fail. I would like to give an example of something that happened last year, November. I am based in Abuja, and typically by November, there shouldn't be rains in the north because that is when they were drying grains, on living grains to dry fully, and then you harvest them. So let's take maize. For maize that would be used, not the one that you will boil and eat, the one that will be allowed to dry and will be converted into corn flour for the northerners, what we know as tuwo masara. Around that November, it's on the field drying so that you could now dehusk it and process it to the next phase. And then it was raining in Abuja. A smallholder farmer who has a small farm, who has not taken account of the fact that there is climate change, and so rains are not coming when they used to come, would have planted the way he used to plant and might end up losing his entire crops. He's a small farmer, and if he doesn't pay attention to sustainability issues, he loses his entire livelihood because he has planted at a time he has always planted over the last 50 years, forgetting that the seasons have changed due to climate change. So I use that very little example to show us that every entity needs to begin to take cognizance of this environmental, social, and governance factor. It is not only for the big multinational, because some people seem to think, ESG is for the big people that are the blue chip company, they have the money to throw around to do ESG. No, it's about the survival of your business. If you don't take this thing into cognizance, it can destroy and wipe away your entire livelihood, no matter how small you are. And the interesting thing about the IFRS sustainability standards is that it takes into cognizance proportionality. So you don't have to prepare your sustainability reports the way a blue chip will prepare it. Within the resources you have, prepare what you can prepare. So nobody expects you as a small or micro business to go and be doing complicated scenario analysis and go and buy a complicated software. Use Excel. If Excel is even out of your reach, take an exercise book and be noting the things that you need to change. So it takes cognizance of proportionality. And to the second part of Senator's question, are there water-related sustainability metrics? The answer is yes. Water is actually a scarce resource. We're very lucky in this part of the world that we can easily get fresh water for drinking. There are countries where the only form of water they have is water that has salt. Take Dubai, for instance. For them, at some point, they were importing drinking water. For them to get water from their own land, they now had to desalinate, remove the salt from the seawater for them to have water to drink. So water is a scarce resource, and the metric you use for measuring water is water that you're using for your business. Is it coming from a high water stress environment? A high water stress environment is an environment where there's very little water compared to the demand for water. If you're taking a lot of water from a high stress water environment, you need to tell us how many liters of water are you taking out. And when you take out this water to use for your business process, do you recycle it so that you don't go back and withdraw water out of that place that doesn't even have too much water. So that is a metric that you can use to measure your water usage. The liters, the gallon or liters of water you're taking out of an area that already has high stress on water availability. And for a business that operates in an area where water is scarce, what you can do if you are conscious of your environmental impact is that the water you've taken out and used for your business operations, don't discard it and pollute the environment. Recycle it, remove all the chemicals so that you can now reuse it in your process. There are a lot of manufacturing companies that are recycling their water. Interestingly, when I was doing a presentation to the management of a company, and they pointed out to me that they're into rice milling, and to reduce their cost, what they do, water is a significant component of the milling process. They realized that instead of throwing away the water they have used for processing the paddy into rice, what they do is they recycle it, and significantly their cost of operations reduced. You would think that such things do not apply to every business. It only applies to the oil and gas industry. But if you actually look at your business operations and you're looking for avenues to reduce costs, you will find something that you can do differently that would actually reduce your costs.
Wow, well learned. And when you say recycle, at least they'll make it clean and then you can reuse. All right. So I have a question from Shokumbi Babatunde. His question is, sustainability report is a non-financial performance which a firm needs to be included in the financial information that is being expected from the stakeholders. Assume a firm fail or partially included sustainability report. Can external auditor go ahead and make a qualified report or audit opinion, or even make a disclaimer or adverse opinion on the whole financial statement? Over to you, experts.
Yes. So as an external auditor, your opinion is on the financial statements. You're not giving an opinion on the sustainability information. So on the fact that you have not verified the sustainability report, you do not automatically qualify the financial statement that you have audited that does not need to be qualified. Rather, what it is that the Financial Reporting Council has released the adoption roadmap of IFRS sustainability standards, and it has a roadmap for when assurance will be required on sustainability reports. You commence assurance in the 4th and 5th year of adoption of the IFRS sustainability standards. And it's a phased approach for assurance. In the 4th year, what is expected is a limited assurance. By the 5th year, you do a reasonable assurance on your IFRS S1, S2, excluding your scope 3 emissions. Scope 3 are greenhouse gases emitted from your supply chain. And in the 6th year, you do a reasonable assurance of everything, both your S1 and S2 and your scope 3 emissions. What am I saying in effect? You don't qualify somebody's account simply because you did not review it. The scope of your work is auditing the financial statements. You don't have a problem with the financial statements, and your opinion is on the financial statement. Don't go and qualify the sustainability information that you have not reviewed. However, there is a roadmap for the audit of sustainability information. It doesn't mean you cannot audit a sustainability report right now, but the standard to use to audit the sustainability report is expected this year. If you audit just a specific component of the sustainability report, then you clearly state that you have not audited this entire sustainability report. You only audited this part, and in your opinion, this part of the sustainability report is okay. So you do a limited assurance. Don't give assurance on the entire report. Clearly states the parts that you have reviewed that you do not have a problem with. And I think it's important to point out to accountants that the skill sets of auditing sustainability reports might be slightly different from financial statements. We have the capacity to do audits, but can you audit what you do not understand? The answer is no. So as finance professionals, we need to begin to build our capacity on sustainability issues so that when we now go to do an audit of a sustainable issue, we actually understand what we're auditing. In the event that we do not have the skill, we can work with subject matter experts. If I'm going to audit a company's greenhouse gas emissions and I don't understand greenhouse gases, there's nothing that stops you from going for that audit with an environmental engineer who understands greenhouse gas emissions. So we're collaborating with them. So I think what I would close with on this particular question is that you need to, as a finance professional, you need to understand sustainability so that your skill that you already have to be able to do assurance is beefed up with your knowledge of sustainability so that somebody doesn't go and be telling you A is Y because you do not understand. So anything they tell you, you would vouch something that you really do not understand.
Okay, interesting. Thank you very much. I hope Shokumbi Babatunde got that clearly. I mean, it's interesting to learn every day. You know, you were talking about IFRS S1 and S2 standard, and I know you're a strong advocate of sustainability reporting. But what opportunities can we adopt, or can chartered accountants adopt on this sustainability reporting that would help the Nigerian economy? And perhaps let me put it this way, that in what way can ICAN actually collaborate with the stakeholders to promote the sustainable business practices in the country?
Hello, Pubi. I don't know if you can hear me. Okay, excellent. I didn't get the question. I don't know if you could take it, repeat it, please.
Okay, so I was just talking about how ICAN members can collaborate with other stakeholders to promote sustainable business practices in the country. Although I have a question from an audience, maybe you should take the two together. So this same Shokumbi Babatunde has another question, and his question is relating to sustainability reporting that is covered on the public liability company. He said, confirms that have shares are traded in stock exchange markets and approved by Nigerian stock exchange markets. Why the sustainability reporting is extended to private liability company whose shares are not traded in stock markets in the financial statement? So the first question is about the collaboration, and this one is about public limited companies and also private companies.
Okay, so how can we collaborate as finance professionals? We're already collaborating as it is when we audit financial statements. When you want to determine the value of an entity's real estate reported in the financial statement, you rely on the opinion of the valuer because you do not have the expertise to do that valuation. So it's in the same manner that will collaborate with subject matter experts in a field that we really do not understand and we do not have the skill sets to understand. The environmental sustainability is such a broad concept that for you to do the best, you need to collaborate with people that have the subject matter expertise. For instance, I'm an accountant, I'm numerical, I'm analytical. I really don't like anything that makes me have to deal with managing human beings because I think humans are very complex. I would rather sit down with my figures. I know how to handle them. They can never get angry with me. But you bring a human being and you have done absolutely nothing to that person, and then the person flares up due to issues that are unknown to you. So it is very important that we realize that we have peculiar skills that other people do not have. So also, other people have peculiar skills that we do not have. So we need to be self-aware and know ourselves and know that, in this particular topic, for me to do the best, I need to bring in an environmental engineer, or I need to bring somebody who is an expert in psychology that can understand this topic. And so that's how we collaborate. And then and then capacity building, advocacy. Let's learn from other people. Let's listen to other people. Let's not only say that our own way of doing things is the right way. Let's be open to understanding people. And then there's a lot of information. We are lucky to be in the kind of generation that we are in. Once you do a search, it brings up a lot of information, even in something that you didn't study in school. You can actually read up an understanding and at least have some knowledge of it, so that when you're even collaborating with the expert, you're asking the expert the right questions, because you could be asking the expert the wrong question and he will do the wrong thing simply because you haven't asked him the right question. Back to Shokumbi's question, I think it's kind of like similar to the question from Senator, where he says, is sustainability relevant to all entities? What Shokumbi is saying is that, why are we not limiting sustainability to listed entities or public limited liability company? Why are we bringing the issue of sustainability to my small Grace Fatogbe and Co. private company? It is because this sustainability issue could destroy the business if I don't pay attention to them. I don't know if I would give another example slightly different from the farmer that I gave earlier. Let's take, for instance, my business is premised on selling beans, and I sell beans, and because I want to make sure that I don't have weevils in my beans, I put a very dangerous chemical, and I'm not considerate of the fact that that dangerous chemical could impact the end user of the beans. And I'm very happy I've sold my first pack of beans, and the people who bought the beans, something happened to them, they became ill. Do I think they will come back again to buy my beans? The answer is no. If I had simply taken cognizance of sustainability issue, one, social, that what I am selling to people, as you look beyond profit and look at what is the impact of this harmful chemical that I'm putting in these beans, I would have thought twice and not put that beans. I would have probably found a more environmental friendly way of taking out the preventing the beans from getting weevils. And people will keep coming back to me. You know, interestingly, people want to export agricultural products from Nigeria to other countries to get effects. One of the main reasons why our agricultural commodities are not exported is because they are turned back, that we have really high levels of chemicals in them. Why do we have this issue in Nigeria? It's because we're not taking consideration of sustainability. We're just concerned about, I want to sell beans, I don't care what I do to sell the beans. Sustainability is the way that the business can continue to remain into the foreseeable future. It is not only about making profit and then disappearing tomorrow. It is about you doing things in a manner that in the next 300 years, when you are no more here on earth, somebody can still walk in that your Grace Fatogbe and Co. small shop, because you have done things in the right manner, taking into cognizance sustainability.
All right, thank you so much. You know, I've just been looking at my time, and as much as possible, I've been enjoying the conversation, and I still see a lot of questions from our audience, but I don't think I can take any of that again. I just want to say thank you so much, Mrs. Grace Fatogbe, for being part of this interesting episode of Sustainability Reporting. And we've been able to talk about how our stakeholders should be interested in sustainability reporting. At this juncture, I just want to say thank you so much for yielding to our call on ICAN on Air, and we hope that next time when we call you, you'll be here for us again. Thank you so much for coming.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Fumi. It's been a pleasure spending this time with you.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure learning from you. We'll have so much more to discuss behind the scenes. Thank you. Have yourself a good evening. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for being part of today's program. We have a couple of announcements to make, and I just wanted to make it known to us that there's a notice of venue change for the 54th Annual Accountants Conference. And now the new venue is Transcorp Hilton Hotel, 1 Aguiyi Irosi Street, Maitama, Abuja, and Abuja Continental Hotel, 1 Ladi Kwale Street, Abuja. And the theme for the conference is Governance Reimagine, Mapping the Future. And the date is the 7th to the 11th of October 2024. Remember that you should get your tickets, try to register on time because there may be limited space. I'm just joking, but please register on time. And the other announcement is members and students are invited to attend the July edition of ICAN Digital Service Hub with their inquiries, suggestions, and concern feedback. And the date is tomorrow, Friday, July 19, 2024, and the time is 11 a.m. We also have the ICAN USA International Accountants Conference and induction ceremony, and the theme is AI in Accounting and Finance, Get on Board or Fall Overboard. I love that. The date is August 27, 2024 to Sunday, September 1st, 2024. At this juncture, I'd like to say thank you so much, everyone, for joining today's program. Remember that next week, it's another date with us, 6 p.m. on ICAN on Air. We'll bring all that interesting topics to your doorstep. Remember to stay safe. Remember to ensure that sustainability reporting stays with you and in your heart. ESG is very important. Do have yourself a great evening. My name remains Funmi Olaniyi. Have a nice evening.